All right, let's talk some college football. Jeff, you and I have had a lot of fun talking about Michigan this season. Who better to join us than the host of the M Zone show on WTKA AM 1050, Monday to Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. Jamie Morris, thanks for joining us again, man.
No, thanks for having me. It's great to be back. The guys are really doing well because you guys keep letting me come back in.
Are
Well,
you
wait, Jason, I'm going to cut you off here because
okay?
for those that can't see
I
us,
have my yes,
he's
Jeff.
wearing his Rutgers shirt. So I'll ask the question. Ready? Ready, Jamie? Who's got it better than us?
Okay. Exactly. You're right about that. Nobody.
All right, so tell me about it out there, since I don't have the ability to ask the first question because I'm a Rutgers kid. Jeff always gives me a hard time about not going to a big time football school. I saw you guys storm the field at the Big House. It was one of the coolest overhead shots I've seen from cameras on TV. Talk about what it was like this week out in Ann Arbor.
It was. I mean, it was a moment. I mean, as a former player, it's breathtaking. You want that. This is the game that. This is what you come to Michigan for. You come to this type of game. This is what the coaches, when they recruit you, all the way back when Bo Schembechler, when he came to my house, and when I got to go to the stadium, you could see the remnants of the goalposts because they used to rip the goalposts down after the game and carry them out. And those are the things we remember. Now we hadn't beaten Ohio State since this 3-game threat. And I look, for us, when on my radio show, we were just talking about this. When you take these 3 victories, how do you line them up? Well, I said the number one game is the one in Columbus last year, because I love beating Ohio State in Columbus because it goes quiet. It's just they go home. They don't talk smack or anything like that. And then beating them at home, again, it's Michigan. We don't storm the field for anybody, but Ohio State. That's what it's about. When you call it the game, that's what it is. It's about the game. And then when there's implications that are that high for that team, I mean, for me, I'm going to say this. I'm not a historian. I've been around the program for maybe 38 years. But in my 38 years, I know all the way back to 1969, okay? And going forward. 69 is an important year because they beat the team of the decade, which was Ohio State at that time. They could compete with the Green Bay Packers, okay? That's what they were saying. And then I come up to 97. That's a great year. That's winning that national championship and having Charles Woodson in that 97, and they win a mythical national championship. And then the game 2000, and then 2021, that game it let America know that we were back. Michigan was back. And then this game right here, recognizing, that all I'm not going to cuss. All the stuff that we went through, all the stuff that they said we did, we cheated. Are you kidding me? That validated. We didn't need to cheat. We don't need nobody's signs. We whooped that butt. I'm going to keep it together, but I'm just saying we whooped that butt. Now, that was one of the greatest games one of the greatest Michigan games because as a spectator for me. Because Ohio State went back and forth with us. They got big, and they plowed that ball in that third quarter, and they got it going. And our defense was giving up a little bit, and then Zach Zenner, one of the worst injuries you could sustain. I mean, it's good that the reports are that ankle can be rehabbed and he can continue his career, which is great news. But when this kid came back, he came back for a reason. And I'm getting emotional. I'm sorry. He came back for a reason to go to the national title. 3 years these kids have been here. And it took 3 years to get to this spot. And the way they took Jim Harbaugh from us, we suspended him for 3 games. And then the Big Ten comes in and decides to suspend him. No justice, no process, no nothing. You just do that. That doesn't happen with the NCAA. You're not supposed to do that. But the little 13 go and cry to daddy, the new commissioner, and I've got to suspend you. I'm not going to suspend you because you're the coach of the team. I'm suspending you because you're a figurehead of the University of Michigan. You could have suspended the president, you idiot. Who cares? I mean, the president is more important than the football coach, right? He runs the university. Anyway, that being said, Zach Zinner and the crowd went crazy chanting his name. The next play that offense ran, they ran for a touchdown. And after that, we smoked them like a pack of cools. After that, it was dope.
Jamie, what is it like when you're on the field and one of your players, one of your teammates, one of the guys that you've gone through all of this with, suffers a serious injury in front of you? For us, you hear, you see all the players, you see how quiet it gets, and you would think that for players, they start thinking, what if I'm next, or things like that. No. But this team didn't do that. This team got together and said, now we're going to do it for Zach. And as you said, the next play, they had a touchdown. What is it like to be on the field when that happens? And what is the mindset of an athlete when that happens?
Well, for this team, I can only speak for what I saw. This team, it could go one way or the other. You could feel sorry for yourself. We lost one of our leaders, or we're going to win this for him. And that's the way they took it, is we're going to win this for Zach. Zach Zinner has been there for 5 years, and he came back to finish unfinished business. And when he made a commitment to come back, everybody else followed suit. So when he went down, yeah, there was a lot of guys hanging their heads, feeling bad for, and you can hear that it was JJ, it was Blake, it was some other guys, some of the defensive guys. We need to do this for Zach. We need to get to the next level. And they did.
Not only did they get to the next level, JJ and Blake came back, especially Blake. Blake Corum could have gone pro. He could have been a high draft pick last year. He chose to come back to pursue this with his teammates. Does having Blake and JJ on the sideline, on the field, when that happens, how important is that in that moment? JJ just briefly went over to Zach's parents and gave them a hug before they ran that next play. That this team has leaders, it seems, that are doing things that are extraordinary.
Look, the one thing about this is why I call it the greatest team in Michigan history, because this team did not play. I'm going to say this: there is no way a Bo Schembechler coach team could have went out and won 6 games without their whole head coach, because Bo was everything to us. He barked out. He was that instrumental to the play of the game. These kids, I went to a spring practice. They ran the practice themselves. They're all leaders. There's no followers on that team. That team decided for themselves that they were going to win at that point. Now, Sharon Moore did an excellent job. I mean, should he win the Burroughs Award? Oh, hell yeah. I mean, after the 3 games that they suspended Jim Harbaugh for, from Penn State to Maryland to Ohio State, I mean, anybody else got a better resume? Anybody else? You tell me. I mean, I just talked to the Iowa people, and they think their coach, their assistant, their defensive coordinator has done a great job, and he has. I got nothing against that, but run that resume. You played Penn State in Happy Valley, and then you go to Maryland, and you are looking ahead. Yes, the team did look ahead a little bit, trying to get through Maryland, and they got through, and then they played their arch nemesis.
So talk to us about Sharon Moore. I had fun. I joked with Jeff about, the after game reaction. I could have done without that after the first game. But I mean, the job that he did, we can talk about what happened with the Big Ten and Jim Harbaugh, how it all went down. stepping in as the guy when the coach wasn't there. And Jeff's talked about it on the show before, the relationship that Harbaugh and JJ McCarthy have between plays
Sure.
and not having that there. Talk about the job that Sharon Moore did in these couple games.
Well, Sharon Moore is today. I mean, this year is the first time he's not a coach. He is the offensive coordinator and the offensive line coach. That being said, him and JJ, and he worked with JJ. Everybody, we knew that JJ was going to take over this offense because we dominated last year. We dominated from the running game. For 2 years, we dominated with the running game. Nobody likes to get run on. So everybody was going to make JJ beat them. His resume, I mean, I'll say he had 2 bad games. I'll say it's Bowling Green was one where he threw 3 interceptions, and Maryland was a bad game. Yeah, but it was a bad game for him. That being said, JJ has matured beyond his years. If he wants to leave, he could. He's contemplating. I heard his dad today on the radio. They're contemplating. They're looking at all sides and seeing. But don't be surprised that JJ may come back because he loves it's. You're around a family. These kids are like a family. The kind of relationship they had with one another is incredible.
What has it been like to watch Sharon Moore's evolution to a head coach in waiting? The fact is that Penn State game, he did something that I don't know many offensive coordinators would have the guts to do, which is to run a game plan in the second half where you just ran the ball. There was only one pass play, and that didn't even count because it was a pass interference. The entire second half, to put it on the shoulders of your offensive line and your run game and risk being criticized if it doesn't work is not easy for a guy who's an offensive coordinator right now.
No, you're right. But he went to what here at Michigan, which is our bread and butter. Look, first of all, it highlights both Sharon Moore and JJ McCarthy. It shows you that JJ doesn't care about stats or anything like that, doesn't care about the individual awards like the Heisman Trophy or anything, because he was at that time, he was probably third or fourth for the Heisman Trophy.
Right.
Didn't throw the rest of the game. He went like this. Did the team win? Yes. I'm cool with it. And for Sharon Moore, it's a genius move. Look, we couldn't block those edge rushers. Chop Robinson, that's an all-pro. That's a kid that's not coming back, and he'll be right next to Michael Parsons when he gets there. He's that kind of player. I mean, that kid was awesome. So look, we could have, I think it was easier for us to run the ball against them, just blocking them up. And we have extra linemen. For the first time, we used the portal. We used it in the right way. We brought in offensive linemen, and they filled in. They, as you can see, they played tight end. We were coming downhill and seeing who wanted some.
So you guys currently sit at number 2 behind Georgia in the latest rankings. You control your own destiny. Got the Big Ten title game this weekend against one of the worst offenses in modern football.
You said that, I didn't.
Look, I spent years working in Iowa. They had it over under of 27.5 against Rutgers, and it went under. So I'm watching what's going on here. So you guys are 23-point favorites on Saturday. Talk to me about the feeling out there as Jim Harbaugh returns from this 4-game suspension. I joked with Jeff about this. He doesn't think it's anything. I'm going to find it interesting when Michigan wins and Tony Petitti has to hand Jim Harbaugh the trophy for the Big Ten champion on the stage afterwards after suspending him for 4 games.
Jim Harbaugh is the head coach of the University of Michigan. He will not embarrass the University of Michigan. I guarantee you he will be grateful. He will accept the award. He will hand that trophy to Sharon, and then Sharon will hand it to the players around him. So he will handle himself accordingly. There'll be no in whatever people think. He will handle himself like a head coach at the University of Michigan should.
Jamie, I believe you had a chance to play with Jim.
I did.
And so the person that he is now, the coach that he is now, the lightning rod that he is now. Is this different than the person that he was at Michigan, or has he remained consistent in the way that he's approached competition, the way that he's approached the university, the way he's just approached life?
Everybody changed. Nobody stays the same. Jim Harbaugh, he was a great quarterback. He's a coach on the field, but his dad was a coach. His brother's a coach. So, I mean, he's adapted. Jim's one of those old school coaches that wanted to, like Bo Schembechler, what I say goes. But this is a new time and a new era that we have with kids, where kids want to have part ownership now. And Jim learned that. In 2020, he made a lot of changes in that coaching staff that everybody doesn't talk about. But moving that coaching staff around and bringing coaches in, younger coaches in, and different things like that. And now they listen. It's crazy. They listen to music during practice and different things like that. Just to, it's just part of the thing. The locker rooms. It's a great thing. Jim Harbaugh he lets his coordinators run their teams. And it's as he would call it, it's complementary football. That's how they play, complementary football. And he's done a great job. Could I see Jim Harbaugh doing this? Yes. In answer to your question, he understands things. He's been through it. I asked no man, and this is Bo Schembechler. Well, this is really Fielding Young Chios. I ask no man to do anything that I haven't done myself.
I gotta ask, we're reaching that part of the season that Jeff hates, where it's is Jim Harbaugh going to be back next year?
Harborwary. It's coming soon. That's what we call it, Harborwary.
Yes, and this year, in addition to it, you have, although the Big Ten's action is done,
right?
Who knows whether the NCAA will find something?
Not until June or July.
Like actually find something to start something. I don't mean actually do anything. It's the NCAA. They don't act fast. But Santa Ono said he hopes he comes back. They'll see what happens. He trusts him. I'm asking two Michigan men here. We're reaching that time of year. Is Jim Harbaugh going to be your coach next year?
I'm going to give you two answers. Jim still has that itch to win that Super Bowl that he missed. Jim still has that itch to get there. He hasn't found the right team yet. If he does, then there'll be interest for him. And he will, I think if everything's right, I think, yeah. I mean, if he accomplishes, let's just say if he accomplishes here what he is on the verge of right now, he could leave. He could possibly leave.
That's one answer. What was the other one?
The other answer is Jim's going to sign a long contract with the university, and he's going to stay here and say, I'm done. I want to do it all here. And he's going to stay here.
I don't know about you, but for the first time, I feel like even if Jim leaves, things continue on the good path. I think that with Sharon here and potentially being the guy that takes over, Jesse Minter taking over, I think that he's put the pieces in place.
Yeah.
That if everything happens the way we all want and it ends with a trophy at the end of the season and he walks, people will not feel the same way they were going to feel at the end of last season and the season before when it looked like he was going to walk.
I think, Jeff, you're hitting it on the head. I think look, as I said, this coaching staff needs to be credited with a lot of things. There are guys on that staff. We have former players on that staff. We have coaches that come in and show their real raw emotions to these kids. And these kids look at them like an uncle or a father. And they love their coaches. They give everything they can to play. So Sharon Moore, yes, it would be terrible to have Sharon Moore leave after this, but he could leave. And the problem is that you don't want him to.
Mhm.
And if he does sign if Jim does sign another contract, I think the university needs to sign a contract with Sharon Moore. This is just me talking as a coach in waiting.
Look, I think that's a smart move. He's shown what he can do. We did want to ask you before we let you go.
Well, make sure you call Ward and tell him that.
Oh, you know I will. You know I'm always.
I figured you
Gotta
guys
do this, Jamie. Damn it, come on.
I figured all you Michigan guys are just texting each other all the time about that stuff.
Oh yeah, we got the Michigan network. We work it.
I know Jeff's on.
I'm sure Ward is thrilled about it.
Jeff
too.
is like busy not responding to me while the Michigan people are blowing up his phone about everything. I get it. I know you guys are all
Michigan man. He gets it.
Yeah, I understand. I did want
the Rutgers guys get on the do not disturb list.
Easy there, Tiger. Okay, so talk about the rest of the teams in the college football playoff. This is the last year, hopefully, before we expand to 12 teams when everybody can lose their mind over teams 13, 14, and 15 that don't make it. I root for chaos every year on the last weekend because I just think it'd be fun for college football. How do you think it's going to shake out? Georgia's got Alabama. Looks like two kind of open spots to see who gets them for the other two spots in the CFP. What are you thinking?
Well, I think there's some small. There may be a small chaos from. I think Oregon will beat Washington, and I think Louisville has a shot at Florida State.
Especially without a quarterback.
Yes, you're right. Florida State doesn't have their quarterback, but the kid played well. I mean, he did play well against Florida. He did take some. He took some shots and he got up from them.
And Louisville struggled last week.
Huh?
Louisville struggled last week.
Yes, and that's well, and look, I'm looking for. Hey, I just want to slot it. I want to play either Washington and Oregon in the Rose Bowl. That would be nice, because it's the old Rose Bowl,
right?
Versus Pac-12, all of that. Love to do that, and I get it. Alabama's my second team. Everybody's got a second team. They just don't admit it to. But Alabama's my second team. I would love to see Alabama beat Georgia. I just don't think Alabama has enough offense to beat Georgia. But we'll see. I got my fingers crossed that Alabama makes it happen, because then we become the number 1 seed. And then we still are going to pick the Rose Bowl.
If chaos happens, do you see Ohio State getting back in?
Chaos.
No, you got. It's. Don't forget Texas. Everybody's forgetting Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget. I mean, they're there, but it's Oregon and Texas. Those are the two teams I think that get in, because everybody's clamoring for them. I
know what your answer is going to be, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Who are you most scared of if that Michigan would have to play?
Georgia
in the championship.
Okay. I figured you were going to say nobody, but
no, Georgia in the championship. Look, I got to, they're 2-time champions.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you don't beat them, you know the old saying, you got to beat a champ, you got to beat the champ.
Right.
But I think this year is we're a better team than what we were 2 years ago. We're a what do you call it? An older team.
Would you want Washington or Oregon more? Bo Nix just seems to have that experience from his previous spots at the SEC.
You know what? I don't care what comes out of the Pac-12. Bring it on. I'm ready for those. Those that I see.
You mean your future Big Ten members?
That's crazy, isn't it?
We didn't get to ask you about that. I'm gonna get to go to the Rose Bowl as a Rutgers fan to see a football game in the regular season at some point because of this. Talk about the crazy.
As long as you made it clear, not in the postseason, you're going.
Right.
Yeah.
I was very clear because I knew that you would jump in. But talk about before we let you go, how crazy the new Big Ten will be next year.
Oh, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be. I mean, I'm excited about it. I think. If you're going to have these mega conferences, we've been talking about mega conferences for what, 4 or 5 years? They said it was going to happen between the SEC and the Big Ten. So it's happening. It's finally coming to fruition. Look, I'm excited about. And you know what? Somebody's got to knock on the door of Notre Dame and say, "Hey, if we can get Notre Dame, I'm happy." And then. Hey, Florida State, I take them. I'm cool with that. I mean, it would be cool to have those as a super conference. But
But don't you think that all of this, especially the merging with the West Coast teams, is going to kill West Coast football? The rivalries that were always so good, that are so important for college football, there's not going to be any Oregon State, and Washington State, and Stanford Cal.
Gonna be Rutgers USC, man. Come on, Jeff.
Okay. It just seems like that it's going to be harder if you're a West Coast coach to recruit. I know you're in a better conference, but it's going to be hard to recruit kids, I think, out west. Now that you don't have those things that make college football so special.
Agreed, but we need to move forward. I agree with you. I hate that the Pac-12. Look, the Pac-12 was offered money for their next TV contract. They didn't take it.
Yep.
They did this to
it's your own fault. It's your. I mean, look, you got to build this thing. It happened for the Big Ten. It happened for the SEC. Look, next up, I mean, the Big 12 reorganized themselves. I don't know if they'll be successful because they lost their two linchpins. They lost Texas and they lost Oklahoma. Those two teams are going to the SEC. I mean, I hope the ACC survives. I look, I love that. I'm like you, Jeff. I'm an old guy. I would love to, and you guys, Jumbo Elliott's calling me right now. It's just it's crazy, but look.
More of those Michigan men.
Yeah, and can you just when you talk to him, just say, can he probably could still play better than most of the Giants offensive linemen now. so if Jumbo can get out there, can you please send him out there for me? I know you're a Washington guy, but for my Giants, I want Jumbo back now at this age.
I'll tell him that. I'll say, hey.
That is too funny. Jamie Morris, it is always a blast when we get to catch up with you. Assuming things go as you all plan for Michigan, I hope we get you back as things go forward and you get closer to realizing your ultimate goal.
And see you in Houston.
We'll see you in Houston. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jamie.
We're going to talk again next time, too. Yeah.